So in the words of Justin, JC, Chris, Joey and Lance, I say to you, Brazil, bye bye bye, because they are out, they're gone from this World Cup thanks to Belgium in what was, Sarah, the second game today in quarterfinal action. And to those Brazilian fans who are now upset, I say to you, unfortunately in this case, Brazil have no one to blame but themselves. This game, being the second of the two, was the one that I think most persons were looking forward to. Some were looking forward to that France game, but this was the big cheese today, as they say. And it ended 2-1 in favour of Belgium. That, however, doesn't tell the whole story. The scoreline doesn't tell what really happened out there on that pitch. Brazil were the ones who really bossed attacking, and they had in total 27 shots in total, as opposed to Belgium, who had just 9. So that shows that they were not outclassed, I won't say, but it definitely showed that Brazil weren't just bending over and not trying to play football. Neymar was rolling around as usual, but they did try their very best. But on this day, it went to the team that managed to score more goals, and that's what knockout football is about.
Well, I guess, you see, the thing is too, technically Brazil scored 2 of the 3 goals here today. The first goal for Belgium, which put them in the lead, was actually an own goal. So I wouldn't say, it's not from a defender. Fernandinho is considered a midfielder, but it was their error, Brazil's error, that saw them go behind early on, and Belgium of course went on to capitalize on their chances. Of their 9 shots, only 3 were on target, and that one they scored was one of those that was on target. Brazil, though, I would say they basically wasted their chances, because of those 27 shots, only 9 were on target. So, I mean, in addition to creating the chances, you have to try to challenge the keeper as well. And you're facing Thibaut Courtois, one of the best keepers in the world. So you need to do better than that. Brazil, I think, while they were commanding in the field at times, they, to me, didn't really... I don't want to insult any Brazilian fans or anything, but they needed to do a lot better than what they did today. They didn't deliver a championship performance, in my opinion. And
when you're coming up, as Sarah said, against a man like Thibaut Courtois, you have to bring your very best. And that's not to say that Brazil didn't challenge him. There were moments where it was a bit nail-biting, especially for Belgian fans, because there was one moment where it looked certain like Neymar was going to get that ball to curl right back into the back of the net. But Courtois was again up to the task, very much so. So it's a mix of a very good game from Courtois, as well as some untidy work from Brazil in terms of getting more of those 27 shots that they had on target. If you're not getting shots on target, the goalkeeper doesn't have much to do, and if you're not challenging the goalkeeper, chances are you're not going to score. And that's the advantage that Belgium had. They had just 9 shots, like Sarah said, and they had 3 of them being on target. Already you're seeing a much higher shot accuracy in this game for the Belgians. And that own goal to start off with in the 13th minute, that was really a kind of summary of what was to come, because it was going Brazil's way in terms of going forward and getting a shot off, but it was going Belgium's way in terms of getting shots into the back of the net. And as I said, with this World Cup and with knockout football in general, you have to score in order to win. If you don't score and you waste and you squander your chances, then chances are you're going home, and that's exactly what is the case for Brazil today. They did start off well though. Thiago Silva hit the post, and there was a moment where Thiago was suspended in midair in slow motion, because they were showing back the replay, and I was laughing at it. He was in slow motion, suspended in midair, looking at the ball go to hit the post, and his mouth was wide open, probably saying, "Why me?" And that ball just hit the post, went back out, and was eventually cleared out of any sort of danger. Neymar continued his theatrics. I'm not too surprised by that. It's become part and parcel of his play. There was an in-the-box dive in the 50-odd minute mark, and there were a lot of questions as to why he wasn't given a yellow card at that point, and that may have changed the dynamic of the game, because he would have had to, of course, be a lot more careful going forward. And there was another chance for a penalty, but despite a review, it was decided that there was no penalty to be given. So another blow there in terms of Brazil's hopes for coming back in this game. So,
just a point with Neymar though, in all fairness, he was physically challenged in the game today. There were instances where he was tackled roughly by some of the Belgian players. So I mean, I'm not sure if he's just, you know, going with the flow in terms of, because I mean, when your emotions are, you know, just all over the place and your blood is pumping, and with the pressure of the situation, especially since they went behind so early because of their own mistake, I'm guessing he realized that the stakes were as high as they were, and you know, maybe that may have led to a little bit of over the top acting in some cases, but in all fairness, he was physically challenged quite a lot in the game.
which is what was something I noticed early from Belgium, and it wasn't just for Neymar, it was for a few of the other hot topics on that Brazil team, a la Philippe Coutinho, these guys. They were purposefully double manning them throughout the entire game. And I can see Mariram saying that Neymar, the beach diver. So he has gotten a lot of names as this tournament has gone on. This tournament in particular, giving him that bad rap and that bad reputation.
And well, I mean, for all World Cup tournaments, I noticed there's always that one particular meme. Last time, 2014, I think one of the big ones coming out was the Flying Dutchman. Van Persie's magnificent flying shot with the goal and everything. That one went viral. I think this time it's the Neymar rule.
And
I think they should name a sushi roll after him.
I was actually going to say that because I eat sushi quite regularly.
Yes.
And I would definitely go buy a roll called the Neymar roll, and they could have it with like a little face painted into the plate where he's in agony or something. But anyway, enough of that. Brazil have lost, and they will be heading out of this World Cup and will be flying on a plane back to Brazil. A long flight back, and I'm sure not one of them in that camp would be happy at all.
I think Fernandinho in particular will be kicking himself because he is the one that scored that own goal.
I do feel sorry for him because we all know the atmosphere that football has in Brazil, and it's very, very serious across there. Persons have before and will in the future, unfortunately, get death threats because of mistakes they would have made on the field. And I don't think fans in Brazil realize that footballers, just like everyone else, they are human and they are prone to making mistakes. But that's the level of competition across there. Even with the league football where Santos will be playing and all of these different clubs, it's a very, very different dynamic to what we're accustomed to here. Usually what happens here is that someone does something not so good, we bad talk them a little bit, and then we all head off after. We all head off after, have some drinks, laugh a little more, and then that's it. But in Brazil, it's definitely a different story. So I really hope that for Fernandinho's sake and for all of the players, because they will all kind of be given the blame for what has happened.
Yes.
I hope for their sake that this is not the case again. So they will be going through Belgium to meet France. France, they got past Uruguay today. Sarah, she's a bit more familiar with that game and what went on. So I'll let her explain exactly what happened between those two.
Well, right. I remember in our last episode of Just Kicking It, we were talking about Uruguay's chances of moving forward, and we were all leaning towards Uruguay primarily because of one player, that was Edinson Cavani. He, unfortunately, while he was on the bench with his teammates today, he was not up to playing because he was marked off as injured. So on some official substitutes list, he was not there at all. Now, I think that is where they suffered because they were beaten 2-0. And while they did have some opportunities on goal, I think it would have been a different game had Cavani been involved. So just going back to the statistics I have here, it was, in terms of chances, pretty even. Both sides had 11 shots apiece. Uruguay had 4 on target and France had 2. But it was Rafael Varane, or Varane. I've heard it pronounced both ways.
We'll ask him whenever
he's a defender. He plays for Real Madrid. He put them in the lead in the 40th minute. So there was some play, a good deal of play before that first goal came about. It was 1-0 at the half, and then in the 61st minute, Antoine Griezmann got his first goal out of play in this World Cup. Of course, he has two goals before, both were penalties.
It was an absolute gift, though. I mean,
yes.
His shot was venomous. It did pack a pretty potent punch, but I have to say that it was all the goalkeeper's fault,
yes.
And that was a gift to Griezmann. But I'm not sure he'll be complaining because that's another goal to his tally. and he continues to be playing well in this tournament.
So I think we should demonstrate exactly what happened with this goal.
We have
So
a
the
football.
goalkeeper's name
We have a
is
football.
Fernando Muslera.
So we have a
I'm the
football.
goalkeeper. Ball comes in, well, it's supposed to hit here and basically lobbed up, went into the goal.
Let's try. Let's try it one more time.
I don't want to break anything.
You won't break anything. Let's go.
Oh, you see, that is how it's supposed to go. It's
That
supposed
isn't
to go
what
back
happened.
out, went over him and into the goal.
So basically,
Very
the ball was
unfortunate.
traveling. The ball was traveling like this. Like I said, it was very venomously hit.
Yes.
So this is basically slow motion. The ball was coming. Goalkeeper tried to punch. Instead, it just bounces over and went into the back of the net. So that goalkeeper would have some explaining to do, because I think that goal.
That was a holding foul, I think.
That goal.
Try to catch it.
Or even if you want to parry, you parry down or you
Yes.
parry over. But he just put his hands up like he was caught in between trying to catch the ball and thinking about punching, and the ball eventually went into the back of the net. I think that goal, being there with about roughly half an hour of football left to play, that was the goal that I think really sunk Uruguay
Yes.
into defeat. Because there would have been a chance perhaps that if they hadn't conceded that goal, we just put the ball back where we can see. Yeah, had they not conceded that goal, I feel as though perhaps they may have had a chance to come back. But that goal definitely sunk them.
Yes, it did. And I think in terms of play, I remember at the same time we were talking about the fact that Uruguay's defense is one of the toughest we've seen so far in this World Cup. Diego Godin in particular, the captain, has been singled out as being one of the best defensive players so far. Well, Uruguay, I mean, they didn't even get on the score sheet today. They went down 2-0. And France, I think, will be taking a lot of confidence, because this is definitely one of the tougher teams they've faced. And they came out not just victorious, but victorious with a clean sheet. And that will go a long way in boosting their confidence. Of course, they will come up against Belgium in the semi-finals.
I think they need a lot of confidence boosting, because they haven't played particularly well throughout this tournament.
They've played well enough.
They've played well
Yes.
enough to advance, but the competition obviously gets a lot stiffer as you go along. You come across teams who have found a way to gel better and better as the competition goes along. Belgium in particular, they weren't as strong second half today, but first half I think they showed exactly what they are capable of, which is strong attacking, possessive football and a very, very difficult defense to break down. When you have men like Vertonghen and you have Meunier and all of these guys at the back, Company being there as well, back from injury, it obviously is a tough defense to break down. But when you add that to a pretty potent attack, then you have a team that's pretty hard to beat, which is why at this point I think a lot of people are saying that Belgium will be the team to beat, either Belgium or England.
Well, you all called it before. Whoever wins the Brazil-Belgium match is likely, in your opinion, to go on to win the World Cup. So we will have to, of course, see if they get past France. Sometimes what happens with teams at the World Cup, they may start off slow, but then when they pick up that momentum, they come out basically a different team coming down to the end of these matches here. So let's see if France really shows up against Belgium. And if Belgium, I think Belgium, while they were good today, they need to be better. I mean, I would love, it may not necessarily work out that way, but I would love for whoever eventually lifts the World Cup trophy to deliver a championship performance. That's the ideal thing to happen. I mean, but everything can't be the way we would like it to be. So that's all we can really hope for.
We were also discussing today the fact that now with Brazil heading home, there is potential, or even more potential, for a brand new World Cup champion, or a brand new home for the World Cup.
Similar to Spain versus Netherlands in 2010.
Yeah.
We knew going into that final, obviously, a brand new World Cup champion will be crowned, somebody who's never been crowned before, and that could happen again. France, of course, one-time winner. England is still in the mix right now
They have won before as well.
They have won before, but everybody else in these knockout stages remaining have not won the World Cup yet.
Yeah, and as we speak about who remain in the knockout round, tomorrow we have Sweden versus England and Russia versus Croatia. Those games will be 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. respectively. We're speaking about teams who haven't won, and there are 3 teams here out of the 4 that remain that have not won a World Cup before. England having won it all the way back in, 66, was it?
66, yes. When they hosted the World Cup.
That was back in the days of Bobby Moore and all of these guys that are now legends of the sport and have stadiums and stands
I think we were
named
saying
after
that
them.
Gareth Southgate is the first England manager two have been born after the 66 victory.
Yeah.
I mean, media, they like to keep track of all these
Yeah.
random fun facts. So that's a one.
Fun fact as well about Southgate. He was actually when they played Colombia, England. When they played Colombia, I noticed something where the last time England played Colombia, Gareth Southgate was a substitute, an unused substitute in that game. And I think that was somewhere back either in 2002 or back in '98. I'm not too sure when. But we have Sweden versus England. Now, Sweden have picked up momentum, Sarah. They have been a bit emphatic in the way they've been going about things now. And England, you would think that they would have a much tougher opponent ahead.
Well, I was talking with one of our co-workers today about those matchups, right? Now, the thing about Sweden and Russia, England, they have world-class names. They have Harry Kane, they have... I can't believe none of the names are coming to my mind right now. Dele Alli, of course, all those players. Croatia, they have Luka Modric, Ivan Rakitic. They have well-known world-class players. Sweden and Russia don't have any of those big names per se. Of course, the best known Swedish player is Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who's not in the squad anymore, retired fairly recently. So I think that's why they are automatically going into these games as underdogs. But Sweden has been, I would say, steadily improving because, I mean, after that defeat to Germany, they won their first game, went on to lose to Germany, and then came out of nowhere and beat Mexico in a very surprising manner, in my opinion. It may not have been as unexpected for some, but it was definitely for us here who thought that Mexico would definitely finish at the top of that particular group. In the end, of course, Mexico barely qualified, and that was thanks largely to South Korea beating Germany. Now, same thing with Russia. Russia has had a dream run so far. A lot would say that, you know, it's basically one of the perks of being the home nation. You're familiar with the territory. Of course, you do have home advantage. But I think we can't take anything away from those two teams. They may be inspired by the fact that we are doing better than people ever expected us to do, and that could be a powerful thing for any team. For example, I always refer to the instance where Greece beat a Portugal team featuring Luis Figo to take Euro. So anything could happen.
Football is that kind of funny game, and I have a particular affinity for Sweden because in 2006, of course, they were our closest chance to taking home 3 points at a World Cup. I think that game could have gone either way. Of course, I'm speaking about Trinidad and Tobago versus Sweden back in 2006
World Cup game.
That to me was, and just thinking about it now, it's a bit emotional to talk about, but to me that was our best chance at winning a World Cup game or scoring a World Cup goal, even if not winning. I'm not too sure what's going to happen, but I do want to lean towards England purely because of the amount of world-class players they have. And I know you may say some people may say world-class players aren't everything, but world-class experience is another thing. And while we may not be relying on them for their skill or their physical ability, what may be very important is their mental capacity. And I've said it more than once throughout this World Cup. Having the brains to play good football, as we saw with Romelu Lukaku when he dummied the ball through for Chadley to score that winning goal when they won 3-2. That is the kind of brains that we're talking about. Romelu Lukaku has been with Chelsea, has been with Manchester United. So he has that sort of ability to think big, think about a bigger picture, not about himself.
And it's the type of players, when you play at certain clubs as well, you are exposed to different types of play, different players, and that adds to your game personally. So English Premier League, probably one of the most diverse leagues around. You find players from all different nationalities. Our boss just passing to see what we're doing. We are doing work.
One of these days, before this World Cup is over, we'll have someone take a behind the scenes photo to show you what our setup looks like, and I think that's what Jason Corby was just glaring at us.
We have a big window on this side. So anybody who's passing in the corridor would basically look inside the newsroom to see what we're doing.
Or make a funny face at us to see if we'll laugh. But we're not like that. We're serious about football. Anyway, Sweden versus England. Sarah, your thoughts, your prediction?
I would want to think that England may come out victorious primarily because of their... Well, I mean, both teams have momentum going into this, but I'll give England the edge because of the talent that they have in their squad. I mean, it's players that I'm more familiar with, but we've seen them do great things is whether or not they actually click and work as the unit that they're supposed to work as come tomorrow. As for Croatia versus Russia, I think while Russia has had a good run, I think Croatia is a very strong team. It's the same thing in that case as well, whether or not they click and they work together the way they're supposed to, because we've seen teams playing good together throughout and then just fall apart under certain types of pressure.
They get what I call a South Africa syndrome. There's Rodney Lahi. You probably could barely make out his face.
We left his chair for him, but he was busy.
You could barely make out his face, but he's now left that, and I assume he's going to come in and give his thoughts as well. There he is, Rodney Lahi. Yay! No,
where are we?
We are
just wrapping up.
We're at the end, so we missed your part. Sorry. Anyway,
Sweden versus England.
Sweden versus England. What do you think is going to happen
Tomorrow, England will show class. England will dispose of them. Sweden will be a little defensive, looking for the counter. I suspect England will put 3 past them.
without reply?
Maybe 1, but
I don't think it's as that straightforward. Sweden has shown that they have one of the better defenses in this World Cup, not just in terms of tactics, but in terms of what they're willing to do. I've seen men jump in front of the ball just to make sure the ball doesn't get to the goalkeeper, and it's that sort of commitment that could make a difference. Who knows?
Well, yeah, but defensive tactics like that, while it's admirable, it will get you out of a group, but it may not win you a World Cup.
Well, maybe
you
we
need
may
the
see.
attacking prowess as well, and when you come up against a bigger team like England, who are finding form, I think they're gonna get the better of Sweden. All respect to Sweden, I think Sweden is a good side as well.
I don't think maybe it'll be that easy. I don't think it'll be a dispose of sort of situation. It may be a bit more difficult. That's my opinion. Rodney's going with 3, possibly 1, possibly 0. Sarah, she was kind of leaning towards England as well.
I think probably 2-0 or 2-1 to England.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit closer
than what Rodney expects.
Closer,
but then again, Rodney predicted 6-0 for Belgium for some games.
Hello,
against
everybody.
Japan.
I predicted 6 goals and 2 of them came from Japan.
Right. So Croatia versus Russia.
Croatia versus Russia. Croatia has depth. Their keeper is pretty good, defense-wise as well, with Lovren in the middle. With Rakitic, we have class in the middle, and up front, of course, Mandzukic. I think Croatia will get the better of Russia, but again, all due respect to Russia, it may be a mirror of that England-Sweden game. A good side in Sweden, the same thing, a good side in Russia. But to really progress in a World Cup in a situation like this, if you're a side like Sweden or Russia without that attacking prowess, you're going to have to defend your life out, obviously, because both sides, in this case Croatia and in the first instance England, they have the attack to penetrate the defense. So you will find 8, 9 men behind the ball at the same time. Like I said, I don't know if that could win you a knockout match. The only way is if luck is on your side, you don't concede, or you concede and end up scoring 1, and you take it to penalties or extra time. So from where I stand, I see Croatia defeating Russia. Maybe not 3 goals, possibly 2, but edging them out. I say edging them out on paper, but when you look at the stats, I think you're going to see, as is same holds true for the England game, you're going to see the stats favoring Croatia and favoring England pretty much. So maybe not possession-wise, but shots on target and the final result as well. I think it's going to favor Croatia.
Yeah, well, I might have to agree with you there in terms of stats being very lopsided, but I don't think the game itself in terms of the result is going to be as lopsided, but I do go with Croatia. The only reason I don't count Russia quite out is because they are hosts, and we have seen hosts in tournaments do some fantastic things. So I'm not counting Russia out just yet, but I do lean towards Croatia in this game. Yeah. And I think that's how we will wrap up, because Sarah has to run away to do e-news now. So as you are finished here, you can join her on air with the Beamer himself to hear what's going on in the world of entertainment. From myself, Ryrie Comas, Rodney Lahi, and Sarah Chandu, this jacket is a bit tight. Yeah, there. And we will say goodbye. No, we will.
It might be an unpredictable game tomorrow because you don't know what Russia could put in.
Oh my goodness.
Goodbye, everybody.
Oh my goodness.